Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Ever notice how some people can talk about like really complicated stuff, but they make it sound, I don't know, easy?
Yeah.
Like how do they do that?
Right.
Well, today we're going to try to uncover the the subtle art of using language
Okay.
as like a tool, especially with controversial situations.
It is fascinating, like how just word choices alone can really shape our understanding of, even really sensitive topics.
Totally. And we are taking a deep dive today into this 2021 research paper
Okay.
called Controversy and Discourse: The Arts of Transforming Negativity Through Transitivity.
Hmm.
It sounds a little,
It sounds very academic.
it does sound a little complicated, but T, trust me,
Yeah.
it's really insightful.
It is. It really is.
Okay, so,
Paper analyzes a 2018 interview
okay.
that Jared Kushner,
Oh, yeah. Trump's son-in-law.
Trump's son-in-law, exactly, gave to the Arab newspaper Al-Quds.
Okay.
And they were discussing the Trump administration's proposed Israeli-Palestinian peace deal,
Yeah.
which, as you can imagine,
Right.
always sparks debate.
That's a recipe for some serious controversy right there.
Exactly.
It's like walking into a room full of sleeping puppies
Okay.
with a water hose.
A very, very accurate analogy.
Good luck getting everyone to agree on anything.
Exactly. And so
Right.
in this delicate situation,
Yeah.
Kushner uses some really interesting tactics.
Mhm.
And the study breaks down his approach
Okay.
using something called transitivity analysis.
Yeah. Okay, so break it down for us. What is transitivity analysis, and like why should we even care?
Yeah, so essentially it's like putting a conversation under a microscope.
Okay.
And we're analyzing it.
Mhm.
So transitivity analysis, it looks at how language positions people and actions
Okay.
within a situation.
Got it.
So who is portrayed as actively doing something?
Mhm.
Who seems more passive? Are things happening to someone, or are they the ones making things happen?
Oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. So
Yeah.
it's not just what Kushner said about the peace plan, it's how he said it.
Exactly. It's about the subtle ways that language can be used to kind of shape our perception
Right.
of events.
Okay, so give us an example.
See,
How does this play out in his interview?
So the study found that Kushner frequently uses a very specific type of verb
Okay.
called a material process verb
Mhm.
when he's talking about the American administration.
Okay.
For example, he'll say something like, we've worked tirelessly to create a framework.
Mhm.
So the use of worked there really emphasizes action.
Right.
It's portraying the U.S. as this proactive mediator
Right.
in the peace process.
They're not just sitting back, they're like actively working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're really involved. They're trying to make things happen.
It's not just talk, it's action.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this is just one example. The study kind of goes on to highlight
Mhm.
numerous instances of how these very subtle linguistic choices can really influence our understanding of the situation.
Okay. So he's really playing up the U.S.'s role in all this.
Yeah.
But, like, what about the Israelis and the Palestinians?
Right.
How does his language change when he talks about them?
That's where it gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
So when referring to the Israelis and Palestinians,
Yeah.
Kushner often uses language that kind of emphasizes their shared experience.
Okay.
He frequently groups them together using phrases like both sides or the Israelis and Palestinians.
So instead of highlighting, like, the conflict and the disagreement,
Right.
he's subtly suggesting this sense of unity.
Exactly.
Very clever.
Like, for instance, he states, this deal respects both the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Okay.
So he really wants the listener to see them as like working together toward this common goal of peace.
Which, I mean, that makes it a lot harder to criticize, right?
Yeah.
Because who wants to be the person who's like, no, I'm against peace?
Exactly.
Like, nobody wants to be that guy.
You hit the nail on the head, and it
Yeah.
doesn't even stop there.
Okay.
The study also points out
What else?
how Kushner uses the phrase the deal
Okay.
itself in like a really, really intriguing way.
The deal. Okay. How do you even make the deal sound interesting?
Well, so he personifies it.
Yeah.
He'll say things like, the deal respects, or the deal brings.
Okay.
So by using this very specific type of language, he's subtly shifting the focus away from like the individuals or
Right.
the groups,
The actor.
yeah, that are actually responsible for like making the deal happen.
So it's less about like the U.S. pushing their own agenda.
Right.
And it's more about this, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
this independent force, this deal.
Exactly.
Just like offering a solution.
It's like this objective entity that just magically appeared.
A deal.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
And it's very smart.
It's kind of sneaky, too, when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Like, it's very clever. But it's also like,
It highlights how even the most subtle linguistic choices can be really, really powerful tools of persuasion.
Right.
Especially in really, really charged situations like this.
So we talked about how he uses verbs
Right.
to portray action, how he groups people together to kind of downplay conflict.
Yeah.
Did the study mention any other, like, strategies he uses?
Definitely.
Okay. To kind of, I don't know.
Manage this whole conversation.
Yeah, manage the conversation, yeah.
Well, it's super fascinating to look at like who Kushner emphasizes.
Yeah.
It's equally important to note who he avoids mentioning.
Oh.
You know, the study points out that he's very, very strategic about who he leaves out of the conversation.
Interesting. So it's like a spotlight.
Yeah.
And he's choosing who to shine it on and who to leave in the shadow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And those choices are very deliberate.
Right.
For example, he seldom mentions specific individuals on the Israeli side.
Interesting.
Particularly those who are known for having more
like a hard line.
Stances on the conflict.
Right. So he's not going to mention, so-and-so who's known for being, very much pro this or anti that.
He wants to keep it kind of general. So he keeps the focus very broad, talking about Israel or the Israeli people in very, very general terms.
Right. Which I imagine helps avoid alienating,
exactly,
potential supporters who might not agree with those very specific viewpoints.
And interestingly, when he does mention Palestinian leadership, it's often in a way that implies hesitancy or even resistance to the deal.
Oh, so he's creating this contrast, right?
Exactly.
Where it's like the U.S. and Israel, they're all on board.
Unified.
Yeah, they're all,
working together.
They want peace. But then the Palestinian leadership is like, well, I don't know.
Hesitant.
Yeah.
Maybe even resistant.
Yeah.
So he very, very carefully constructs the narrative.
Wow.
Always with the goal of, advancing his position and the Trump administration's goals for the peace deal.
Wow. Man, this is eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like, we also talk about, like, the content, right, of what politicians say in interviews and speeches. But this deep dive is really making me think about all the nuances.
The nuance.
And how much that influences how we see things.
It's so important to be aware of those subtle cues because they can be just as persuasive as the actual content itself.
Totally. Maybe even more so.
If not more so.
Yeah. It's crazy. It makes you realize how much goes into shaping, like, the story.
Yeah.
Especially around something as, I don't know, sensitive and complex as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Absolutely. And while this study focused on Jared Kushner's language, these strategies are used everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
Like, think about the news you consume, the social media debates you get into, even everyday conversations, right?
It's true. It's true. It's not just diplomats and politicians. This is like...
It's all around us.
All around us.
Yeah. These power dynamics are everywhere.
It's like you've given us this this new lens to see the world through.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
By paying attention to these nuances, we become more critical listeners, more critical thinkers. We start to see beyond just the surface, and we start asking ourselves, okay, who benefits from this?
From framing this issue in this certain way.
Right. What are they not saying?
What's left unsaid?
Yeah, exactly.
What am I not being told?
This has been...
A good reminder, right?
Yeah, this has been a really insightful deep dive.
Yeah.
It really shows, like, the power of language, for good or for bad.
Absolutely. A good reminder to be engaged, critical listeners.
Yes.
Can't just passively
take it all in.
Absorb information.
Yeah.
Right. Got to unpack it, analyze it.
Think for ourselves.
Think for yourself.
Well, that is unfortunately all the time we have for today's deep dive. But we hope this episode has given you, I don't know, some new tools. To, I don't know, navigate this crazy world.
This crazy world of information. Yeah, this crazy world of information we live in.
Exactly.
So until next time.
Until next time.
Keep asking those questions.
Keep asking questions.
And keep on diving deeper.
And keep diving deeper.